window, but yeah, this is what it says. Whoa, they've already played 14 moves out. I thought Gino was a slow player, but maybe not. All right. Oh, it's streamed on your account. Okay. I should have the stream pulled up on the side. What do you mean 8 down?
BMC go.
We also put a G. There's no G, and I'm not 4 down. I'm a lowly 2 down. Yeah.
Like 15 on a good day. Yep, that's what I'm here for.
You can stop me and ask questions.
For sure. Nice to meet you. But are we streaming now?
I think, yeah, we are.
We are? Cool.
I see Jay has his thing on.
Nice to meet you, Elliot, by the way. I don't think we ever did an introduction.
All right. What game is this? All right. Well, we're back to the Columbus versus New York City games, and we have Gino versus Tristan, and the game will be even. Currently, New York City is up by 1. So we'll see how this game goes and see if Columbus can take back a win and make it even, or New York City will be up by 2. All right, let's begin. So we have the first few moves already been played out. So any thoughts on the opening so far? The first 5 moves?
Seems pretty standard. I believe White ignores this approach. Is that right?
White can ignore. Usually when you see a 3/4 stone, you really want to add another stone, just so you can just enclose the corner. And this also sort of builds strength to continue on the right side. But backing off is also fine. as long as you sort of have a game plan of what you want to do. And white decides to play R14. So the idea here is that before white plays an extra move to enclose the corner, they want to first ask black what direction they want to go or how they want to handle this before choosing to take the corner or maybe play the Kobayashi opening or maybe just to ask questions on how black wants to play this game. Because it looks like the game is almost symmetrical. White approaches from the top side and then black approaches from the bottom side. All right, so black blocks off and then white kicks. And then from here, you have like this framework going on with black's left side here. And white would like to jump in there at some point. But first, white should definitely take the corner. Yep, take some extension. And then now black also follows with a kick. So generally, you want to answer this kick.
Yeah, interesting. So tell me a little bit about why that just got ignored, right?
Yeah, so when white decides to ignore the first, so as black, what would you want to play in the top left, like a local follow-up, since white ignored?
I guess I would block it C16.
C16? Yes, but let's assume that there's a Joseki. Haven't already been played out. Let's pick like a normal Joseki and black gets Sente. So like in this area of the board, where would you want to play as black, as like a local follow-up? Because obviously white ignored. So if black could get in that move.
Pincer of some sort seems.
Pincer where?
Like one space pincer, so R12.
R12. R12 is definitely possible. After white extends. Well, after white extends, yep. Any pincer around these 4 points is usually good enough to take away white space and also to force white to jump out. Another idea you can think of is to that's not the move. There we go. Is to play something like this at Q14. And you can immediately see that black gets a really, really nice shape. Black gets this tiger's mouth.
Mhm.
And white has to sort of push. And white has to push a couple of times before they can make a base. And maybe black is satisfied with just making this shape. Because now, because white didn't play at Q14. If you just look at who's ahead, right, you can see that white is pointing their stones this way, and they're trying to secure, or they want to keep this entire right side as potential territory. But now, since black is the one that could go first and sort of push white as an example, so they just keep pushing. You can see that white is sort of being flat on the right side, and black has this incredible thickness that they can use to sort of build the center area.
Gotcha. Yeah, that looks good.
But white decided to play the 3-3 invasion. So I guess that white was more worried about the left side. then playing a move at q4 and slowly biding their time to secure their right side and to grow. Um, yeah, and I guess like the left side is pretty threatening because if you throw a stone in there too late, you can get killed, or black can get immense profit while you struggle to make two eyes. And so black chooses to block from the left side and not the top. And so we enter this flying knife variation. I'm not too comfortable with the flying knife after I've been destroyed because I played this. But generally, this means that both players are quite confident in the result and the move order. Personally, I just want to stay calm and just push. And after black blocks, this reverts back to the normal 3-3 Joseki where we just Hane under and then just take our life in the corner. But after playing f18, then I guess black can also choose to play at e17 or continue. And this sort of like mimics the 3-3 Joseki I showed earlier. But now that white attached and black Hane's is forced, now white can choose either to cut this way or to cut that way. So I'm actually not quite sure. I know there's a ladder involved for white if they choose to cut the other way. But so if white chooses to cut, here's a very good question about liberties. Where do you think black should play next?
My first thought would be c15.
Yep, c15, and then white extends. Then black should
maybe connect it f15, but I don't know.
Yep, f15 connect is fine, but then white gets this turn, and our stones at d16, c16, and c15 are very low on liberties. And black can always try to Hane here or here to gain more, but this seems really dangerous for black because white is relatively more secure in the corner and relatively more secure on the other side as well. So instead of the push, instead of the Atari, black can play this move. Black can play this move at b15. And so the idea here, if white chooses to Atari, then after black connects, then white extends, and then now we can capture the stone at b16 because white sort of helped black make good shape. And similarly, if white Ataris, then after black connects, black has a lot of options to choose from. If white decides to Hane, then we can always cut. And if white chooses to block this way, then we can just ladder these two stones to death. So especially in a situation like this where both groups are low on liberties and you want to try to gain liberties quickly, this Kosumi is actually a very cool Tetsuji to play because it threatens the life of this stone, and it threatens to attack the cornerstones as well because all of these stones are very low on liberties. And black in game played b16. So b16 is okay, but there is a problem. Um, say if white decides to extend down, then black has some cutting points to deal with, and white might even choose to deal with them now. Let's say white decides to simply start Atari and cutting everywhere. Now, black can Atari once, but what if instead white chooses to, play d14 and extend their own liberties on the side? So this is why the flying knife gets really complicated. There's a lot of different variations because you have to keep in mind both all of these liberties in the corner, the cutting stones, your stones, and also how each of these cuts affect. And then you have to think about, let's say black kills the entire corner, but if white gets a really good outside, let's say white gets this huge, immense wall, as an example, and black gets, all of these connections. And then I guess give white more stones as an example. Right? Then you can see that black technically did kill the corner, but the amount of points that black gained is not enough to justify how thick white became on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
Because now these stones are going to be under attack soon. And now the whole point of black making a framework is kind of gone. So both players have to be very careful to make sure that they don't accidentally lose some important stones, or they don't lose out on the global fight as well. So it's a very tricky balance. And let's just go through to see how the players played it. Black decides to push into the corner. If black pushes into the corner, we just have to make sure that there is nothing here, but white has this cool move, which white found. And the idea would be we want to capture these stones in a net or a ladder. And if we just make a quick mental note of the ladder, it does point to white stones. So the ladder works for black if you can make a ladder. So the cool move here would be to extend that G15. And this threatens this cut now. So if black chooses to protect the cut, we can ladder these stones. If black chooses to save, then we can capture these two stones, and then white's initial plan of making the flying knife would be a success, because although black did get the left side, white capturing these two stones makes white very, very solid. So let's see. Black can also choose to capture this one stone. And the goal is that black's going to admit that they lost out. But maybe if white decides to play the ladder, then they can do some sort of squeeze on the outside stones. Attached Atari. And this result, I feel like I want to say it's good for black, just because white is more over concentrated with their shape. Mm-hmm. I have no idea. Let's just see what the AI says. It says white by now. Okay, so I'm really wrong. So I guess that means that these two captures is actually worth a lot, which I guess makes sense, because this was originally black's corner.
Right.
Right.
And white has that group that would be nearly impossible to kill, I imagine. So like that's enough strength to make something worth coming out of this.
Yeah, white has definitely already an eye. They're very strong, and they're also on the
Yeah.
outside. So
Right.
in the opening, yeah, you generally want to be on the outside because it's much easier to build frameworks this way. And I guess if you compare this result to the to like a normal 3-3 Joseki, Black actually maybe 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 points. And if you invested 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If you invested 12 stones to get 10 points, that's roughly 1 point per stone. And so
Mm-hmm.
that
And
would be a very
anything they
inefficient
have on the
use of
top side,
stones.
right? And white be able to keep them pretty small on the top side as well, it looks like. Or the left
Yeah.
if black tried to make more points out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we try to catch up with where they're at in the live game?
Oh, they're pretty far ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, they're playing quick.
Oh, yeah. And yeah,
Black
Black
will move that
does
Hane, you said.
play Q14. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is just a nice shape for Black to have, and this sets the direction for Black. Um, White plays this invasion. Um, so there's this proverb that says uh, the rabbit digs 3 burrows. Um, but sort of the idea is like when you want to invade, you want to have a lot of escape routes. So White is aiming to connect on or White is aiming
Mm-hmm.
to sort of escape and connect to that group, which is why the middle group which is why this group is so important now because any stone can just link back up to that group and be perfectly safe. But to catch up with the game, let's see. Black simply attaches, and so White decides to connect under, and Black gets these stones on the outside, and they don't have a base quite yet, so it will become very dangerous. Um, Here, I think I would probably just connect, but that's because I want to slowly start to surround them on this side.
Mm-hmm.
But White is trying all these crazy attaches and invasions. So Black decides they just want the corner, and White tanukis, which makes sense because if White extends an 18, right, this is pretty small. Black can simply push, right, push White, and Black gets a better deal because their stones are much more useful than White stones, which are very low.
Mm-hmm.
So White finally decides to extend from their framework. You have these stones, and so you have this sort of imaginary wall in your building. So when you take an extension like this is very strong because throw a stone in here, but it will either die very quickly or Black's going to have a very hard time dealing with something like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all Black is doing is, even if Black lives, Black is just helping all of these outside stones get really, really strong and to make more points. Um, so Black plays are 11. So Black's going to try to make the corner really, really big. And White plays J3. Um, so I guess White also wants to make their corner big and sort of link up this entire structure, which is really, really big. If White gets to keep all of that, because that's almost 3 lines of territory on the entire board. So 3 times 19, 57 points, which is 57 points is a lot, especially when if you add on Comey, captures, and there's also this group here. So white is leading by, definitely white is leading by a lot. They also have, stuff here. So black tries an invasion. White is going to first ask black if they can get some shape. So the idea is if black decides to jump out, then white can get this forcing move, and then white can attack them even more. So also white destroys a part of their corner. And then we have this fight. I think white should just play at p8. This feels a lot more stronger for white, and it sort of pushes black into this uh, 2-stone enclosure, which is not ideal. Black wants to run out to the center. And even if they do run out to the center, you're sort of limiting. White is sort of controlling this entire bottom side, which makes black really difficult to make 2 eyes and live. So black is trying hard to find a way to live. And black wants to try to cut. I would think connecting is fine. After Atari, oh, maybe it's not fine. White can cut these 2 stones. Black can cut these 2 stones off. So I guess just connecting, pushing first and making black fix their shape is good. Good enough. And I think, I wonder if this is at the point where they're thinking about the game.
What do you mean by that?
So I think black is trying to decide if they should connect or if they should push out and try to start a fight between or I guess black can't really start a fight. So black is trying to figure out the best way to sort of utilize these and try to. So if black manages to live, then white is only limited to the points in the bottom. And it also destroyed white space in the middle, right? So if black lives, then white has to make sure they keep the points in the bottom, make sure this is alive. On the other hand, if black dies, then white instantly wins the game because this is way too big for white to have. So the question is, how does black find a way to sort of make it live or find a good way to connect their stones up? And the group that black made on the left is starting to be really effective here because black now has a goal to run to. If black can just connect up to those stones, then black can start to choose to reduce the entire bottom side and then maybe attack the middle. Yeah, so if white keeps on trying to run this group out and if they eventually connect, then it's going to be really hard for white to handle all of these weaknesses that white has in their shape. So it makes sense that white will choose to just take their profit and let black do whatever they want. Because as long as we cut these 2 stones off, then our group is fine. We keep the points in the corner and maybe some on the left. So what do you think about the board position as of right now?
Well, Seems like I would start feeling nervous if I was black. Of course, black being a Columbus player, confidence has got to be through the roof. Recommend white to resign or something, but yeah, I don't. Unless black can find points in the center of the board, it seems like it'd be a really hard game, like you were saying.
Yeah, we can do a quick count as of right now. So, black is always going to capture. So at this point, if we just draw like boxes, I'm not going to count this because maybe black will invade later. Black has this, I guess, and maybe a little bit here. So black has, so in the top right, black has, I guess we'll count this to be more conservative for white and a bit more liberal for black. Black has 2, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So about like 28 in this corner. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So about like 11 points. And then this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, about like 8, 8-ish. And this corner, white has 1, 12, 13, 14, 15. So about 30-ish points in this corner. And white has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So white has about 70, black has about 36, 11, like 47. Yeah, so white is up by a really lot.
Yeah, and I think their next couple moves show that that's their impression as well, just pushing through at p6 and then solidifying on the bottom.
Yeah.
Pretty conservative, just making everything they've already got extra safe, right?
Yep. And since we didn't count the bottom, this adds another like 12-ish points.
Yeah.
Like if I was white, my first instinct would be find the weakest group and see how we can attack it. And so, well, both of these groups are pretty stable. Like if black captures here, this is already alive. If black, I don't know, captures here, this is already alive. So splitting these two groups might be a little bit of profit, but not really. And like, let's say white just gets like, 3 stones and cuts off both sides, then I think black is pretty alive on both sides. So I don't think black has any weak groups to attack. Black has any weak groups for white to take advantage of. So yeah, just being stable when you're ahead, just stay ahead. Don't make any complications and keep the game fairly simple, and you'll coast through the rest of the game. Is what white is arguing on this board. White's saying, I have enough points, this is good enough. Black can try to do stuff, but white is arguing that this is enough. And now black has to try to find points. So K16 is a pretty nice move. You talked about how because white got so strong here that white can start to reduce this area, right? But if black can manage to link up somehow and then get an extra move on the outside, then this entire corner is not really that small. This actually might rival like most of white's points if both sides get very large frameworks. And so white has to figure out a way to sort of reduce this area. So white decided to play q13, but as white, where would you play? Where would you want to play here? So we know that white is ahead. The question is, how do we keep our lead? So where would you play if you were white?
Just reacting to that k16 move, I think I would look at h16. It's maybe gentle and slow, but
h16.
just on that, making
Like
sure it doesn't get too big.
Yep. Maybe black can switch directions and play something bigger, like n13, and then play now.
Maybe something over by that R14 stone to see if I could use that. I don't know, maybe something like.
So I guess, yeah, maybe just even pushing
underneath, or maybe it would be interesting to try something around like P12. That might just be catastrophic. Seems like the sort of thing I would do and then die.
I think you can play P12. Like white can just extend out, and now you sort of ruined this potential black could have had, and also a bit in the middle. So yep, they're all fine. I might even just throw a stone and be like, you can't have anything there.
No
Because
points.
I can connect. No points, yeah. You can threaten to make points, but you will not actually get points.
Yeah.
And I can, connect to this group or connect to this group. This group is still fine. It automatically has one eye. Let me just erase that. So this group here automatically has one eye. But we do want to make sure that black doesn't sneakily take away these liberties or our eye potentials while we're fighting. That's just something to keep in mind, because if black can kill this, then the score will rapidly change on the board. So then white decides to play q14. So white's gonna tell black, hey, this stone at r14, even though it looks dead, I still have use for it. And this is kind of scary for black, because white's going to argue and say that these two stones are not as strong as you think, black. And it's going to be pretty difficult for white to sort of handle something like this, for black to handle this.
Mm-hmm.
Because yeah, like if black just chooses to connect, then white can just start tarring everything, and then all of a sudden this giant black potential just got almost cut into thirds, and now it's given to white. So then black decides to Atari this way. So that's also so if black Atari's this way, and let's say white tries to cut it off. So white plays here. I guess black could also play this one. And now white connects. And if black really wants to save these two stones, they cannot. I guess we have to also look at this. But it gets very dangerous. So I think no matter what black does, black can't really save those two stones if white really wants them to not save them. But white is going to be a bit more tricky here. So why do you think white played p14? instead of say like R12.
Um, I guess that leads them to have more influence towards the center of the board instead of solidifying on the side. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's the idea. Like earlier, we were talking about how like, if black gets one more move, right, like here, then because of all these stones black plays, the center is actually going to be easier for black to build and to grow really big. So white can choose to take these two stones, say here, and capture, and I can choose to capture those two stones. But black can still make that potentially very big area on the top. So white is not satisfied enough with just capturing these two stones. White wants to make sure black has no hope, and it's actually a very good idea because we want to focus on maintaining our lead and make sure our opponent doesn't get too much when we're after we're excited about taking this entire bottom and then getting a good result on the top left. We have to make sure that that um, we can make a silly mistake and the game could just turn right back to even or to our opponent very quickly.
Right.
So I would want to add a stone. Like I'm a bit worried. Like if I guess we can play here, but if black can somehow get Sente after some exchanges and black starts to play like O12, then black's making that framework once again. All right, so but black should answer. Otherwise, white has this Atari and then this capture right here.
Right.
So black should answer. And white is doing all sorts of stuff. White's playing here, and then white's going to play here. So, to be honest, I'm not sure what white is planning. I thought that, as you mentioned, white wants to take the outside, but now they're saying, no, I want to take the bottom. I want these points.
Yeah,
And
this
black's
is
like,
something the commentators were talking about a lot in the last game, like playing moves and then not following up, which seems like a little bit of a risk coming here for white.
yeah. And that's mainly because, like, let's say you make a plan, right? And your plan is, I want to take the center. And if we disregard, if we can ask questions about, if the center is big or the center is small. But if you have a plan, say like, I want to build the center, then if you stick to your plan, then you will eventually get the center. And so all the moves that you played um, do some work or they have some meaning to those stones. But if you don't really have a plan and you just try to do things like play, well, this is a plan. This is saying that I want to reduce the entire framework on the top, and if we just connect, black can choose to build, the top area, but it's not nearly as big enough as what black could have gotten. And then white's saying, okay, well, maybe I want the center and the middle. And okay, but now it's sort of hard because white has to really choose which of these two groups to save, right? Because if white tries to save this group and black attacks fiercely, let's say black will just give white a way to live, and black can go ahead and capture these two stones. And then we can talk about the entire top later on. And it's the same idea with if you want to save these two stones, right? If you play the same move here, then I can say, I'm going to try and cut you off. And then now black kills the stones on the top, and these stones are. This is a lot bigger than what black should have gotten if he hadn't made this exchange, right?
Hmm.
Now, if it was like this, maybe black would be a bit more conservative and say, I want to play here or here. But because we make these exchanges, black will get a little bit stronger. And each little bit of strength matters quite a lot in these like fights. And now white is saying, I want to capture this one stone. And honestly, I might let white have those. I might let white have that. Because if we simply, white says, I want to capture it, so we just let them capture it. And then, we can threaten to kill them, so they have to answer. And then now if we play a move at like M13, we start to see a resemblance of that giant framework once again. Um,
Hmm.
so because black captured here instead, right? Um, the weakness that white had is gone. They're now fully connected, and they also captured these two stones. So white has only one thing to worry about, which is these two stones, here and here, right? And white might say that they're useless now, or white might decide to save them, but um, that choice is for white to make now because black doesn't really have the option to either attack this or attack this. They sort of have to attack these two stones now because they lost the initiative to attack these stones. And so, oh, black plays there. Okay, I guess black still wants to connect those two stones. It's forcing, and black is going to
Oh,
attack this way.
interesting.
Yeah, black's gonna say you can have those two stones, but I'm still gonna make this. Yeah, this is like the thing I was talking about. That black can threaten to make this giant framework,
Right,
which
because white
is
never connected that P14 stone that
yeah,
we
like
just
white
on there.
made this cut. Like if white simply just played here, right? Then sure, I guess black can connect if they really wanted to. But now black doesn't really have that big of a framework anymore, right?
Hmm.
Maybe there's like a peep here. They can try to kill or try to do something, but white is relatively safe everywhere, and there's no more complications. And I was talking about this sort of idea in a random is that if you're ahead, just don't try to complicate things and just maintain the lead, and you're fine. AI will of course disagree. AI will say that every point matters. You should optimize every single thing.
Right,
But as I think for like amateur players,
right. For
we should just
humans
wait.
that don't know for certain that an aggressive move is the right move, it
Mhm.
always has that possibility of being an overplay, right?
Yeah, and we don't even know if they're are they in Byoyomi? I'm not sure.
They're no, they both still got time. I got the live game up, and it looks like they're getting into some interesting shenanigans on the bottom.
Oh, okay. So yeah, but yeah, that point is pretty important, and if you can just take that advice, you can get super strong. Like, and I guess the idea is the same here. White is making up to here. This is fine. Because white wants to make sure they capture these two stones. But then here, white should prevent that as much as prevent the top from getting big.
Hmm.
I think white had good intentions after playing all of these moves, but they sort of lost track on their initial goal, which is
Right.
also why you should have a goal. Um, in case you wander off, then you can always get back on to your feet. But it looks like black gained a lot here. Uh, yeah, black gained a lot, quite a lot. Um, and if you do a recount from here, assuming this is a line, then We counted 70 for black here. Maybe black got under 12, so 82. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. So black is now at like 90, around
That's white.
90. And then we counted 47. Yeah, and then we counted 47. But we counted a little bit here, a little bit here, and then we counted like up to here, up to here. So black gained another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So black gained another 16 points. I guess this we also counted a little bit here as well. Yeah, so I guess, looking at it from a point perspective, it's hard to really say that black gained, but we have to make sure that this is now super stable. There's no complications here. I guess white can, try to make a sneaky life at L18, but for the most part, like black's position here is very, very safe. Like white can't do a crazy invasion here, but black can always, try something in the corner, which is what's happening now. So white says, no, you're not making anything here. And white decides to block solid. Yeah, black's just throwing stones in, because this is all white's territory. If they live, then they gain a lot. If they don't live, well, they didn't lose that much. Maybe they lost like maybe a entry point. Maybe they lost like these attachment moves or maybe this, but from the scale of things, they don't really lose that much. Yeah, so black is just gonna try and attach the things and see if they work out or they don't work out. So usually we want to play this Kosumi, because if you just push when your opponent already has this extra stone, then you're sort of pushing from behind, and white gets to hane. And the proverb says, you never want to let your opponent hane at the head of 2 stones, because it sort of like blocks their direction entirely. If black plays Kosumi, then white can't really block, and also white creates cutting points. So like if white tries to fix this side, then white can play here. If white tries to Atari this, then white can play here, and then you know now black is completely out and has to decide, because it's relatively easy to sort of move out, and because you keep your stones in a very flexible formation. But yeah, same thing here. You generally want to avoid the shape where you get hit, and you definitely want to avoid a shape like this where you're reducing your liberties for no reason. Yeah, and now it becomes very strong. So I guess now, because black didn't really get a good result, if white simply blocks here, right? Then, if black Ataris, then I think white is trying to read out if they can maybe hane. If you play here, 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 and then connect, maybe black has some more things they can try. If white Ataris first and black extends and then they connect, right? Now black can't really cut. So I think this is what white should aim for, is to make this one Atari. And then if black plays here, we just capture. And black can't really continue to jump out. They must connect, and we connect back, and this should be pretty good and pretty stable for white. And if black tries to do like some sneaky thing here, we can cut them off. If black tries to Atari, we can just let them, and then we block. Yeah, so white should definitely Atari this first. instead of connecting the other side. Yeah, so black could have gotten a result to sort of destroy the bottom, but it looks like black has failed. And so black decides to move on to the top because they're worried about these stones. Yeah, so I guess since we have some time, if you're black, how would you try to invade this sort of bottom area?
Oh God.
Yeah, it's tough. But there's still some
6
weakness.
stones.
There's some weakness here. Maybe.
Yeah. G3.
G3. Where is that? G3? Yeah, G3 is an option.
You got a little bit of space over towards the corner,
mhm.
and can kind of jump out towards some stones, and you got that wall kind of lingering on the left that may help. I don't know.
Yeah. No, it's an excellent idea. Yeah, generally you want to look at the corners first because it's really easy to live in the corner. And obviously we can't just, throw a stone here at 3 point because if I simply I don't know, plays like D2 or something, or this move, or just extend, it's not big enough for black to make a living shape. But the weakness of the large knight is any of these moves, right? Anything that attaches to the stones or plays there is the weakness because black gets one removed, they can just separate. Yeah, so this is a good idea. If we play here, if white tries to play h4, then we create a lot of these cutting points. Maybe we can, if you play here and then white fixes, and we can ruin everything. If white plays here, then maybe we should cut here first. And same idea here. If white connects here, then maybe we can start from the other side. And if white tries to do anything here, then we can maybe try to squeeze this entire area. If we extend, we can sort of keep trying until we get a good invasion into white's area. Yeah, but these are all definitely possible candidates. I do like black's R3 moves though. It's very tough to deal with as white. Like obviously this is probably gonna die, but white has to be super careful not to leave too much weakness behind. Because you have these two stones here. If black links up to them, there's a fair chance black can live. And even just, they can live in the corner maybe. But I feel like after, yeah, N3 is also a good idea. I guess this attach is also fine. Yeah, but black really, I think black missed their chance by not playing L4. All right, so both players have moved on to the top. Yes. All right.
Yeah.
Um,
Now it looks like some interesting stuff coming in the center.
Yeah.
After a couple moves on the top.
Yeah, so black is going to secure their framework. That's done. And white plays at J9, which is really interesting. This sort of move, what do you think white is aiming for?
Trying to make sure that that center left side doesn't just become easily transformed into black territory.
Yeah, that's yeah.
but it also feels
White
risky, like
is
a little isolated.
feels like white is trying to do something, and it feels like white's trying to scam black if they play away. Like when I see this move, my first instinct would be, oh, white's trying to kill that area. Because yeah, black has maybe an eye. It depends on if white can get any of these moves right, because then this would be a false eye. But if white plays here, I'd be like, white is really trying to limit black from making shape to make two eyes. So I'd be a little bit concerned as black. Because yeah, now if black plays here, if white plays here, if we just play this simple thing. Oh, and that's how the game went. You can see that black sort of doesn't have two eyes.
Hmm.
Yeah, so if I see this move, I'd be like, what is white planning on doing? I might just consider jumping or playing a large knight, just making sure I'm fine. Because yeah, as you mentioned, this white stone is kind of isolated. If we get a stone here and a stone here, all of a sudden this becomes points for black. And this white stone isn't really running anywhere. So after we fix, and then, or maybe not even fix, maybe we just um, block white from, connecting to their stones. White wants to try and connect to the bottom. Uh, and we say, I guess, white does have a very good point here. White has the option to run down, run this way, or connect up to these stones. So this is pretty tricky for black, actually. I might just play here. If white tries to connect, then I might be tempted to start this ko, right? Like if we start this ko and white loses the ko, then all of a sudden the middle is ours. And then maybe we can start to attack this, just how black attacked us. But J9 is surprisingly a difficult move to answer the more I look at it. And I think black tried to, attack this stone on a large scale, but sort of missed out. I am tempted to definitely go for ko, because if we're behind, might as well make the game complicated, and if
Right.
we do win the ko, yeah, then it's just good for us. And I think we have a lot of ko threats actually. Like any move here is a ko threat, right? If you can try to live here. And white doesn't really have that many ko threats. Like, white's gonna say like, I'm gonna try and live here. And I'm like, okay, you can live there. Well, actually, no, we can't let them live there. But I think we have more threats to sort of reduce the bottom than white has to sort of do something in our top side. Yeah, but black decided to just make the empty triangle. And yeah, this is getting a bit scary for black, because black eventually has to come back and capture this stone. So black has to spend a point, spend a move to capture. And these stones, we just draw an arrow. They're pointing to this group, right? So that means black's gonna have a very hard it's gonna be very difficult for black to kill those stones. And if they connect up, then this group will be stronger and have more chances to make two eyes and not be tricked by black. Whereas if we like made a solid black wall, now we can sort of ask white, where are their two eyes? But not when we're sort of letting white connect and giving them more strength. Yeah, and so black is also aware of this, and Black's saying, "Hey, I really don't want you to connect." Because if we can cut these stones off, then we can also weaken this group as a whole. But unfortunately, this is also like the issue with here as well, with the whole idea of making a plan. If Black is going to play f11, they should continue. They should hane and be like, I might lose the game, but I will stick with my plan. If White answers passively, and if we get into this situation, let's say we get like this situation, and White sort of fails to realize this, then we can, start to try and kill this group. Now, obviously, this is a lot bigger than this side of the board, but um, if if White makes a mistake, maybe we can, pull off some moves here, and White's gonna connect, and they're trying to do all these things and make sure that And if we somehow, by luck, manage to make two eyes here, then the game completely changes.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah, and so like if you play a move, then you play a move having a plan and having a follow up. And even if you do disconnect off, even if you do disconnect these 4 stones, maybe you can kill it later. Maybe you play here, and White's like, "Oh no, I have to live." And then you can say, yes, now I can capture the middle. Now it's all mine.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're at the stage of the game where, you're behind. And so you just stick to um, your goals. But yeah, Black is sort of doing the same thing White is doing here. They're being like wishy-washy. They're going to be like, oh, I'm trying to capture, but no, I want to protect. And if you keep on switching between ideas, then each stone you place becomes less and less effective. Like, let's say White Honeys now, right? Then this stone doesn't really accomplish much, right? It's just dummy at the end, right?
Mm-hmm.
This stone could have been used for, better purposes, like maybe, make a few more points here, right? It doesn't seem like much, but if we can, save these 2 stones and build, like 2, 3, 4, 5 more points, right? Then if we continue this, then like over the course of the game, we uh, stick stick to our plan, or if we don't like the idea, just don't make the idea at all. That's like maybe 10, 15 points. That's already 1 stone gained for the sake of improvement. And so if you should definitely stick to the plan you were building. Yeah, because if we didn't make this exchange at all, right? We played here, and then White plays here, right? Then we have the opportunity to take these stones and run with them. It's much more easier compared to making this exchange, right? Because you wouldn't want to make this exchange now
Mm-hmm.
as well, because you're just helping your opponent squeeze these 2 stones. Um, yeah, so uh, yeah, and Black followed up on their plan a bit too late. Now White is completely secure. And there's not much to attack now. This is safe. This is safe. This is all connected. And this entire bottom is connected. And White has like almost no more weaknesses left to really utilize. I guess maybe Black can try, another crazy invasion, hoping to achieve something. But as of this point, all the groups are pretty settled. And so now there's like not much else you can really do to come back. Whereas maybe we could have a chance. And that's something a lot of strong players are really good at, is that if you have a position that, you don't know if it's settled or unsettled, then, you want to play away from it. And, maybe later on the game, you get extra stones somewhere and build strength other places. And now this is a perfect time to play. But if you try to settle everything quickly, and if you keep trying to settle and make sure everything is strong, you have to remember that your opponent also gets strong. So if you're in a losing position, uh, you're sort of removing your own chances to come back and win the game.
Mhm.
Yep, and Black's gonna say, "All right, well, it's endgame now. I have to make points." Oh, White found an attach somehow. Yeah, this doesn't work. Actually, does it work? Hmm. It is interesting. I think I don't know. I'd be really scared if White cut. So Black Atari is a must. If Black does an Atari, well, I guess Black can play here, and then play here. Oh, no. Black can cut and kill. Okay, so that's why White couldn't play. That's why White couldn't cut. Um, so I guess uh, White sort of played this move and then realized that they didn't have enough liberties. Okay, that's fine.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, but like this is different from like a plan. You have a plan, but you have to make sure that locally you're okay, and this is where the reading matters. um, yeah, and White agrees that they messed up, but still White got a decent result. They got 2 more stones. They could falsify this side anytime. And Black is trying to, try to squeeze them and see if they can make some kind of a squeeze and capture. So White decides to, make sure everything is fine. And Black goes ahead and secures the last biggest point, I think, in the game.
Mhm.
After this, the boundaries are pretty much set, right? Like we can tell that, Black's boundaries are like here-ish, here, and then here into here. And White's boundaries are here, there. This little winding thing. I should use a different color.
It's like
Yeah,
an elephant.
yeah. I'll just draw squares. It's easier that way. There we go. There. Now it's much easier to visualize.
Mhm.
There we go. Yeah, and um, yeah, one thing you want to look at after you play the game is sort of like, where did you place stones that didn't really matter? And if I had to ask both players, if I had to uh, review both players' games with them, I would ask them, why did you make this move? Why did you make this move? Why did you make this move? How much time did you spend here? Like maybe were you in time trouble, or maybe you
Mhm.
couldn't find a better move? Then why couldn't you find a better move? And then, like how comfortable are you with this Joseki? Stuff like that. And uh, is capturing these 2 stones really worth it by giving up this entire potential? Um, yeah. Yep. And we're on to endgame.
Mhm.
I trust both of these players' endgame. I don't think they'll make any crazy mistakes, like 10-point mistakes.
White
Yep.
is down to their last Byoyomi, so there is the chance that they could time out.
There is a chance, but I would not recommend players to hope on their opponents to time out.
Not a
Ooh,
winning strategy.
here's an interesting idea. Um, wait, never mind. I let's see. What happened? Okay, so White pushed here, and White played here. I would be a little bit wary of this move. Yes, it is trying to cut it off, but maybe black has a better response. Maybe here to get more points. I don't know. I would just play here, honestly. Just secure and build. I guess it's fine now, but you don't want to fall into the habit of just assuming that you play a move, your opponent must connect. What if they don't connect? Um,
Hmm.
yeah, that's something I struggled with when I was weaker. Is that I always assumed my opponent will connect. When I peeped, I assumed my opponent would connect the peep, but they don't.
Right.
And all of a sudden, I realized, wait, this is actually really good for them. All right, so connect, connect. This is really small. Actually, no, this is big. um, yeah, black has to make sure that they're alive on both sides. Um, do they have to? Maybe I want to play this one. Yeah, I might want to play this one actually. If they say, "Hey, I want to take away your points," and I'd be like, "Okay, I get more forcing moves," and they're like, "Haha, I really want to take away your points," then these stones are dying. So yeah, it's like you just want to maximize every little thing in endgame, which is why you often see stronger players spend almost all of their Byoyomi because um, let's say in the end game there's like 50 moves left and you gain like zero point 0.2 every move, right? Then
Mm-hmm.
50 moves times 0.2, that's 10 points, and 10 points is a big deal the higher up you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks like they wrapped up the game.
Yep. Let's just quickly go through. Yeah, so I think this was a minor mistake. Yep, that's a thing. Connect, connect, Tari. I feel like this could have been better somewhere else. Maybe here. I don't know. Not sure. Maybe just play here or here. I guess this is also big. Um, yep. But I think because they settled the borders pretty quickly, there's not much to go through. Connect, yeah. Don't throw in. I think it just loses a point for no reason. Uh, I guess it depends on the rule set, but usually, if you don't have to throw in, don't throw in. um, right? Because they're gonna answer anyway, so there's no reason in giving them one free capture.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah, but I think there's not much else to look at. Yeah, it's just Tame. Yep. And I guess the game is over. White by 50. Wow. Yeah. Just for a quick overview. Uh, yeah, black really messed up. I think they had a chance here. They picked the wrong Joseki, but I don't think that was game losing.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely being too late to invade on the bottom was a thing. And yeah, it's hard to judge who had the bigger framework at first, but um, I think black should have definitely invaded earlier on. And there was definitely something suspicious going on in the middle. They could have cut it off and reduced the point score by like 10 points ish. But yep, well played by both.
Yeah, it's interesting fights throughout, and I appreciate walking through the commentary.
All right. Um, let's see. Let's go to the actual game. See what is happening there. I always want to read people's commentary. There
Yeah, I
we
had
go.
it up, but
Yeah, it seems about. Yep. Well, all right. That was the game between Tristram 3Q versus Gino 1Q. And so now New York City is up by 2. Woo.
yep, just gonna fall all the harder when we
All
run the
right.
rest of the board.
What is the next match? We don't know I don't know what the score is. I do you know who's playing next?
Yeah, it should be Tristram should be Manny.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Manny
Who
versus Gino. That'd be a very interesting matchup. All right. I guess we're gonna. Yep.
Yep.
Gonna wrap up.